So we're basically running already.
Sweet, great.
Very good.
Okay.
Hello.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, we have a new guy taking over the podcast from now.
I'm extremely fit.
Yeah.
Damn it! If there was no camera, it would be great. Then you could describe me as really like jacked. And
but you don't know what's underneath the t-shirt. So
yeah,
it's
exactly.
like
If I take this off,
16 pack.
The most jacked Irish guy.
You've ever seen.
But welcome to the Escapist Corner.
Hello.
We are here today with a new brilliant guest, a local guest from Berlin.
As local as he gets.
So local.
A jacked guy
jacked locals.
A jacked guy out of Cork, Ireland.
Yeah.
So we're gonna test.
He runs the Aj&Smart.
Aj&Smart. Aj&Smart. I like how happy you are with yourself because of that one. You're like, yes, nailed it.
I've been thinking about it for an hour in the car. I was like,
this is already my favorite podcast. Aj&Smart. Especially because you don't necessarily know if you hear that it's about muscles. It could be dirty stuff as well.
We don't know.
And this is a bit of a different podcast from the other ones, but we already warned you guys out there in the ether that we have more guests of different caliber coming within business, lifestyle, and stuff like that. So today we have Jonathan.
Hello.
Courtney. It's me, Richard here, and Gerardo.
Myself, Gerardo.
Yeah,
Gerardo.
I'm even starting to say my name in English.
Yeah.
Gerardo instead of
I heard you, Gerardo.
Which is weird.
Hello, my name is Gerardo.
What's the problem with Kyle?
You're going to call yourself Ger soon.
Yeah, and Jonathan, you're our CEO of a company in Berlin.
Yeah.
You have a design agency.
Yeah.
Tell us a short background story. Why is an Irish guy in Berlin having a design agency?
Good question.
Named Aj&Smart.
Yeah, the name. I mean, the Aj&Smart part is the main story. No, so I was living in Ireland until I was 20, and my kind of goal was to be either a famous singer or a famous filmmaker. Actually, no, it was famous singer when I was in Ireland, like rock star, whatever. And I was studying something called digital media production in Cork, which was a mixture between photography, graphic design, blah 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 blah. And I was always interested in design in terms of just like how magazines are laid out and posters and all of that kind of stuff. And I was also the graphic designer for the band, right? I was the guy making all the posters. So actually I moved to Germany, I think in 2008, to do my Erasmus, which is like a, whatever you call it.
Exchange program.
Exactly. Exchange program. And the only option was Germany. There wasn't like 3 options or something. It was like, you can go to this small town in Germany called Darmstadt or stay in Cork. And I was like, fuck Cork, like anything but that. Like I want to do something different. So I went there, and when I went there, they had a huge film studio, and I really wanted to be a filmmaker then. So I kind of changed my mind. I want to be a filmmaker now, all in, 100% filmmaker. Graduated there. All of the people in that class moved to Berlin. So I moved with them, and I was like, fuck, sweet, I'm going to move to Berlin. Yeah. I convinced my band to move here as well, so we were going to be famous rock stars and famous filmmakers in Berlin. Yeah, that was the main goal. And while I was trying to build my film and music career on the side, the only way I could make money, the only like really skill that I had that people would pay for was design work. So I started in a company called N.I.Coon. I think they still exist. Was really they trusted me like with a very huge project to design some apps. I didn't know how to design an app, so I had to figure out how to do that on the internet. And after about 8 months, myself and this guy who I met in the company called Michael Smart, we left, or we actually pitched for a project. The bass player from my band, Alex, the A from Aj&Smart, 3 of us came together and we actually pitched for this project. We got it. We didn't expect to get it. We were like, what the fuck?
What do we do now?
Yeah, exactly. So we then, at the end of the project, after 3 or 4 weeks, after crazy amount of work trying to figure out how do you design stuff, we handed in 3 invoices and the Bundesministerium für Umwelt, which is the government agency for the environment, said, you can't give us 3 invoices. So we were like, oh, cool. So whatever, we'll make a company real quick. So we kind of established Aj&Smart just to get paid once, and then we were going to close it, but we didn't close it, and it's still here today, 7 years later.
That's so let's fast forward from that, and we're now we're standing here in your office, and those
naked.
guys naked.
For the people who are just listening to the audio version,
so go to the YouTube and see the video. No, but we have a wall here full with texts and things happening, and things start to change, right? So you were doing having a design agency, doing more like typical design agency stuff, I guess. Yeah. Like a logo or... Yeah,
like websites and kind of branding stuff and like e-commerce websites, the stuff that a lot of it, or even sometimes like just like, long app projects and stuff like that, or, making mobile websites. After a while, we just realized that we all hated doing that. Yeah. Especially me. I hated it so much that I just couldn't be bothered. Like I just didn't want to do these projects anymore. We were doing these standard design agency projects that other design agencies would love to do. So for example, like a big sports brand would come to us and say, hey, we've got this really cool project, and we would have like a 1-year-long project, and money wise it was great, but after like 2 weeks I was always really bored of the project. And then you're stuck in it for a year, and you hate it. So even though we had gone away from working in other companies, it still felt like you were working for people and they could decide how you're supposed to live. And so we just stopped. We just killed that way of working and decided we're only going to focus on the beginnings of projects, which are the parts of the projects that we actually enjoy, and the parts of the projects where it's about getting all these people with all these ideas, helping them create this product vision, like that's what you're supposed to do, and giving them the energy, giving them this push. And it was this design sprint process that we found from a guy called Jake Knapp. It was developed in Google. We started testing out that process, and it just perfectly fit with how we like to work. So today in 2018, we are known for being a company that runs these start of projects, these design sprints, and it's so much more fun.
Yeah, I think
No, I was wondering, how did it change the relationship with the customer? In the sense that, okay, I'm running your project for a year, and now how you pitch yourself to, no, you're going to give you the heads up 2 weeks, and then you got to figure out for your own.
Good question. So companies will call us and they'll say, hey, we've got this new app, like we want to work on it, like we've got this new thing and we want to create it. And then they'll always ask, and then I explain that we're going to help the teams come together, figure out exactly what it should be, show you how you should roll that product out, show you what features it should have, show you how it should look. And then they're like, oh, cool, great. And also like, okay, so it's only 4 weeks, and after the 4 weeks, do you also help us make all? And we're like, no. And they're like, okay, so like, but when we want to work with the developers, and are you going? We're like, no, we don't do any of this, and we're just not there for those parts. Like, so we tell them that straight up, that if you want the best possible start to a project, you call us. If you want a company that does everything, you just don't call us.
All right. Yeah. Do they go for it? I mean,
mostly.
Just in the last couple of years, the expansion of growth of the Aj&Smart agency is huge. It's big, right?
Yeah, so obviously not every company wants that, but most companies, when I describe to them how if you start a project right, you have a better chance of finishing it right as well. The problem with companies that are kind of able to do a bit of everything is that they're not really great at any one part of that. So we just decided instead of trying to be really good at, aligning and figuring out the product vision and then executing it and then developing it, which we did at the very start, by the way. We were doing everything. We were a full service agency. Instead of doing that, we're just going to focus on the bit that we're excellent at, and just get rid of everything else and just keep getting better at this one thing. And so the cool thing about, I guess, companies, the reason they want to work with us is because they can kind of slot us in right at the start. Instead of wasting 8 months of trying to figure out what the product is going to be, we can define it for them, and then they can go to another agency and get that finished. So in the end, it also the price kind of works out the same because an agency that's going to do everything might charge like 500,000 to do everything. But if we do the upfront work for maybe 100,000, that agency doesn't have to do it and can charge 400,000.
In that sense, so definitely is a specialization.
Yeah.
Very good at this.
Very, very much.
And this
so.
is what we do.
Yeah. It's like if you guys only focused on squats and nothing else. You're like, come here if you want to do squats, and they're like, oh, I want to do a push-up, and you're like, get out.
Go to the next door.
Exactly. So we're very focused on one thing. And actually, today, if you look at our website or any of our content, we're less focused than we will be next year. Next year, we're even getting more aggressive and more clear that we only focus on the start. So up until now, when we're on sales calls, sometimes we're a little bit like, if a really cool client comes along. Yeah, exactly. So, like if you can see some of our clients are like Lego and Google, like all of these cool companies. And sometimes we're like, well, maybe, maybe. Oh yeah, and I guess but now we're like, no, we don't do anything else. There's no exceptions. We only do this. So every product we build, our online course, our offline things, it's all about how to get you started and push you so that we can go away.
I mean, something that is interesting, I think, for people is to also know that, I mean, you were doing all this normal work and normal agency work, and then you got to a point where you also made a kind of a strategical decision, right?
Yeah.
To go in more hard on social media and everything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so right now, you're not only, an agency that's grown, like many other companies grow, but you actually became like an ambassador for the design sprint. So if you Google design sprint, you're probably going to see your face there.
Yeah.
And you as a person also, you are talking now to other designers, right? And they are asking you for advice and so on. So you become also, you got into this position of, okay, how you're helping people now to become better designers and, and also getting into more of the like social media things, right? So Yeah, I mean, for us, the social media thing was all about leverage. Yeah. I think that 5 years from now, if we didn't put effort into social media, like maybe, like let's say right now, tomorrow, Aj&Smart decided we want to make money on just selling t-shirts, right? We probably couldn't do that, okay? Like today, we probably couldn't do that because our audience isn't big enough, right? Yeah. The podcast isn't big enough. The Instagram isn't big enough. It's all quite small compared to like other large brands. But in 5 years' time, if we keep focusing on it, like every year, the leverage we create with this audience is crazy. So right now, for example, we were able to launch our online course. Yeah. If we had launched that online course 2 years ago, I think one person would have bought it. Yeah. I think like one person would have bought it and we would have had to call them manually. We put this thing online in May. Yeah. And we now have over 500 students. Yeah. And it's crazy, right? This is a this is a 1,000 euro product. And it's like really selling really well based on the leverage that we've created with our brand. Yeah. So it's not just that we're stuck being this service company for the rest of our lives. The bigger the brand gets, the more trustworthy the brand gets, and the more the brand gets associated with something valuable. Yeah. I really, really, really do think, and by the way, we're actually going to test this out in November just to see what happens. I really think we could completely change what we're doing. Yeah. Not do client work ever again. I like doing client work, but just as an example, and still be able to grow this business based on the brand that we've built. Yeah. That's kind of like why the social media stuff is important. So even though,
thinking of, you develop things for customers, but you're always working on how I develop my own company. Yeah, for sure. How innovative can I be with my own company and then go to the next step and next thing.
I would actually say that we're not innovative. Like if I would think about Aj&Smart, I wouldn't put us in an innovative section. I wouldn't say that we break any rules. In fact, I think I'm just good at copying people who I think, like, for example, the reason we did social media was because I was copying Gary Vaynerchuk. There was no like, I'm a genius, I'm going to do that. It was, I guess the smart part was that I saw what he was doing and was able to apply it to myself and go all in immediately and like not worry about it and just not worry about what I'm spending the money on. So I think for me, Aj&Smart is not a company that kind of, I would say, goes first in terms of pure innovation. And there's a lot of other companies who've done similar things to us. I think what we're good at is highly focusing on like one or two things, constantly stripping away everything else around that, and really focusing on a couple of the values that we have, which are like entertainment, trying to make people laugh, and while trying to actually educate people, and having like crazy good service. Those are like these pillars that we have, and we apply it to everything.
I think it's something that is very common for a design agency or any type of business, is that you rarely work on your business yourself.
Yeah.
Right? So we're very good at working in our business. If we look at like a regular CrossFit gym, that's usually you work a lot inside a business if you're owner operator. And this is in every kind of shop. If you're if you have a shop for cars, you're probably gonna
work on the cars. Yeah. Well, I don't want to make it sound like we're really good at working on ourselves, because until the first 5 years, we didn't know how to make enough money, so we couldn't work on ourselves. So 5 years we didn't work on ourselves at all. We didn't have any documentation for onboarding new employees. We didn't have any strategy that was more than next week. We just never had enough money to do anything. So now is the first time where I don't have to be in every single sprint. I don't have to be in every single workshop. That's ended kind of this year for me. And now I can sit down and think, okay, we should document our sales process so we can bring in more salespeople. We should document this. What if we completely scrap this and try this thing next year and we can do this? We didn't have the time. I think what we did right is that we didn't worry about profit at all. So this year, this is like something I actually shouldn't say, but it doesn't matter.
Don't say it.
I'm going to say it. I'm going to say this year we're going to make. What do you think the profit margin is going to be this year for Aj&Smart? Just give a guess.
I have no clue.
Yeah, I have also no clue. Let's go for
profit margin.
Crazy 60%.
4%.
4%.
4.
Yeah.
It's 4%.
Yeah. Okay.
Because everything we do is about building the business.
Yeah.
It's about
everything gets reinvested in growing.
Everything gets reinvested. Nothing like I don't have a car. Like I don't take this stuff myself.
No.
We're not a company that tries to suck out all of the profits. We constantly put it back in, constantly over and over again.
A very typical, I would say, a very typical scenario in this for many CEOs. And people also thinking about having their agency or whatever, or even being employed, they think like, oh, when I get the big bucks, the big clients, I'm gonna have this car.
I'm gonna be rich.
Exactly, I'm gonna be rich.
I'm gonna have this car. But this comes down maybe to a bit who you are also.
I would say that if I wanted to, and if I could make my mind go in a more cold direction, or actually if I wanted to be more short term, that's the way I would put it, then I could take a lot of money out, and I could instead of having like 4 people running our social media stuff and spending 10k per month or 20k per month on ads, I could just take that myself, right? I could just take it, but then I'm building a business that's going to maybe be destroyed next year by a company that's spending more on thinking
that's doing
about
what
itself.
you're doing at the moment.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So it's gonna eat you at the one
exactly.
point. You just said there was this point where there was no money to focus on the future. There was no money for the strategy. What made that change?
It was the
decision to specialize.
It was the decision to specialize. It was the actual, honestly, the reason why the decision to specialize was so successful. It wasn't that it was the decision to specialize. It was that this specialization made it easier to sell things because we were able to package it.
Yeah.
So instead of doing a little bit of everything, and instead of the clients calling and saying how much is it per hour or per day, we said, there's no per hour or per day. It's just this one price. And we were able to focus on this one product and this one price and keep building that up instead of having 5 or 6 things, which is what we had. And then people, the clients are used to having like, oh, okay, so send me all the CVs of the people who are going to do the work with us. It's probably the same with you guys. Like, oh, who's going to train me? Is it blah or blah? Like, we don't send that anymore. We're just like, you're guaranteed to get a good team. We're not telling you who it is. Yeah. Like, they'll be there and you'll have really good work done. And this difference in focus for the first time ever, to be honest, the first time we really had money was like 2017. And even though we got money for the first time to be able to grow, the way that I operate this business is still, I still made some mistakes this year even where we were very close to not having any money. So this is not to say that we've solved it yet. It's a constantly
work in
ongoing
progress.
Yeah, you would think that 7 years later everything's like, pew, pew, pew. But still it's it costs like 200,000 per month to run this business. So it's hard to always make sure that's coming in.
Yeah, so something we transcended into in this podcast, or in our last podcast, we talked to a guy called Chris Cooper, who is mentoring, hundreds and thousands of people.
The Coop Man.
The Coop Man. But I asked him, like, what can other businesses learn from you, and what can you learn from other businesses? Because, you have also insights in how other businesses, what kind of problems they have and stuff like that. And I'm also thinking about, like, okay, our business.
The question was, what is business?
What kind of business have you, or do you think you have learned from? I know you took some inspiration from Gary Vee.
Oh, just a tiny bit, yeah. Just a bit. The businesses that I look up to are companies like Basecamp. How they make their own rules. They don't look at what everyone else is doing. This is kind of ironic because I'm looking at what they're doing. They don't look at what other people are doing and take that and, But basically, the thing that I don't do is I don't look at design agencies and wonder how should I make mine like them. Yeah. I've never been interested in design agencies as a business at all. No. I've always been more interested in like how consulting houses work, how law firms work, how like companies like Basecamp who are very kind of almost stubborn in the way that they work and they say no to 90% of the things. These are the kind of things that influence me. But the most influence I've gotten, and this is something I thought about recently, are just from entrepreneurs like Tim Ferriss. Really, it's cliche to say, but Tim Ferriss has been one of the most influential entrepreneurs for the growth of my entire business.
I think for many. And what I'm also struck by is that how much a lot of businesses could learn from the things that we are doing right now is to set up like you are doing, sales processes and the standard operations of how tasks should be done Monday to Friday.
Seriously, you know what I was thinking of? What we're thinking of doing next year is instead of the boot camps that we do, having a 2-day event here where people, like 5 or 6 people are coming and paying for it. Yeah. And I'll be like, here's how our sales process works. Here's where we document our stuff. Yeah. Here's how our operations work. Here's how we do our cash flow document. Yeah,
if you have the reach, you can do that.
Yeah, right? I think that's something we're going to try next year. Yeah, for €1 billion per ticket.
Yeah. So Jonathan, I know you have an important call to.
It's in 4 minutes. So
in 4 minutes, so we kind of have to
wrap it up.
But still, where we want to go? Yeah, we know you have a podcast, right? So you
I have that one.
And you also have some good guests on that, authors and
couple.
Yeah. So
Kim Scott was a recent one. Yeah. I think that's one of the most important things I've learned in 2018 is if you get better at giving feedback, like really get better at giving feedback, it completely changes your life. Yeah. Because the first 6 years of running Aj&Smart, I thought it was something you just get good at naturally. At least for me, I didn't get better at it naturally. I think I was just as bad on day one as I was like January 2017. Yeah. And then I read Radical Candor and I was like, holy shit, I've been doing everything wrong. That's been huge for me.
I have to say, when I look at myself, it's also like coaching a lot of people, having a lot of classes and so on. You start to be able to read people much better, which has been like very eye-opening, even though it's like subtle and it's hard to say exactly what it is, but you get better at just, have a conversation and everything. And that's, I notice, is transcending to if I have another kind of business call or talk, it's a totally different thing.
It's been the biggest thing for me, really. I think the thing I was the worst at was I was really bad at two things. Number one, hiring people. Number two, giving feedback.
Yeah.
Both things that will just both of the reasons we didn't grow in the first 5 years, probably.
Yeah.
That was what my But that's the fun thing, is learning that shit, really.
Yeah, and I think she says in her book also something about like, when you're a CEO, it's very common for CEOs to think like, damn, I have to take care of all these people.
And a babysitter.
Yeah, like I come into office and have to like talk to a lot of people and about their personal stuff. When am I supposed to work?
Yeah, that is your job.
That is this is your job. Like, oh, damn it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I actually need to sit and open my... You guys can literally stay here and talk while I'm on the sales call, because it's probably going to happen while you're still here, but I gotta...
Yeah. No, we got it. So, Jonathan, thank you very much.
Thank you guys. I like this standing up vibe. It's good.
Stand-up comedy now.
Yeah.
Pretty serious.
It's cool though. I like the setup. It's really nice. Thanks everybody, and please help me get checked.
Yeah. Follow Jonathan at his
Instagram.
Okay.
Only Instagram.
It's not Grindr. No.
Oh yeah, Grindr as well. Yeah, Instagram and Grindr. Yeah, both.
Okay.
At J Ice Cream on both.
Yeah. No. Follow their things there. They have really good things, sharing a lot of things, helping a lot of people. So
thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
And please work out with me soon so I can get into better shape. Help me.
Ciao.
Bye bye. Nice. Sorry that it had to be so short.